Well, democracy is dead in the Democratic Party. The elitist coup led by Washington, D.C., Hollywood elitists, Democratic big money donors, it worked.
This is as full frontal an attack on American democracy as we've ever seen in the history of America's major political parties.
I mean, this is confusing for democracy. Before we preach to anybody else about how democracy and a republic should go, we got to get ours straight. And the Democrats, all they wanted to talk about leading up from the Biden campaign was the threat from Trump for democracy. No, they're the threat. Look at today.
Fox News has gone into meltdown mode over Joe Biden dropping out of the 2024 race, saying that it is unfair and that democracy is dead. Republican nominee Donald Trump is especially mad, going on a wild Truth Social rant. We have that for you here. Who is running our country right now? It's not Crooked Joe. He has no idea where he is. If he can't run for office, he can't run our country. Going on, he says, Biden never had COVID. He is a threat to democracy. The Democrats pick a candidate, Crooked Joe Biden. He loses the debate badly, then panics and makes mistake after mistake, is told he can't win, and decide they will pick another candidate, probably Harris. They stole the race from Biden after he won it in the primaries. A first. These people are the real threat to democracy. And at one point, he also demanded that the Democratic Party reimburse the Republican Party for the money that the Republicans spent trying to get Joe Biden out. He wrote, "So we are forced to spend time and money on fighting Crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate and quits the race. Now we have to start all over again. Shouldn't the Republican Party be reimbursed for fraud in that everybody around Joe, including his doctors and the fake news media, knew he was not capable of running for or being president? Just asking." Trump's talking points were echoed by a majority of the Republican Party for perpetuating fraud on voters. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said in a statement yesterday, "At this unprecedented juncture in American history, we must be clear about what just happened. The Democratic Party forced the Democrat nominee off the ballot just over 100 days before the election, having invalidated the votes of more than 14 million Americans who selected Joe Biden to be the Democrat nominee for president. The self-proclaimed party of democracy has proven exactly the opposite." Trump insider Stephen Miller was especially on one during an appearance on Fox News. Take a look.
They held a primary. People, they had ballots. They filled out circles. They went to the voting booths. They spent money on advertisements. And as President Trump said, the Republican Party spent tens of millions of dollars running against Joe Biden. Now they just woke up one morning and said, never mind, we're canceling the entire primary. We're getting rid of our candidate and we're pretending the election has never even happened. And we're going to let donors handpick a new nominee. They're publicly admitting that they are an oligarchy. They are not running a democracy. They are not running a representative republic. This is an oligarchy controlled by business interests. And the Democratic Convention is the private corporation that represents those business interests. This is as full frontal an attack on American democracy as we've ever seen in the history of America's major political parties.
It's a coup. They filled in circles. But not to be outdone, former Representative Madison Cawthorn also added his 2 cents, saying, "Someone sue the Biden-Harris campaign for a refund and request a preliminary injunction. That campaign should not be allowed to spend $1 on Kamala's behalf until it is fully litigated." And there's more I want to get to in a second, but I do want to bring you in here first, Cenk, just on the fraud element. I mean, we know there's going to be some litigation. We talked about it on Friday. The Heritage Foundation telegraphed it even before the debate. But do you think there is any merit to any of these claims?
No, I think all of these claims are laughable, ridiculous. So let me knock them down one by one.
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
Fraud. There was one candidate and then there was a different candidate. You mean like Lyndon Johnson was the candidate and then He was unpopular, so he dropped out, and the Democrats got a new candidate. Wow, what fraud. No, that's just called an election, brother. Number two, that Jason Miller, the Democrats, I can't believe it. It turns out they're controlled by business interests. Like the Republicans aren't? Are you kidding me? The Republicans are the party of business interests. In fact, Donald Trump was just begging oil executives just a couple of weeks ago, give me $1 billion and I'll give you everything you want. I'll let you drill everywhere. I'll take away all regulations. What happened to being controlled by business interests? This guy's begging to be controlled by business interests. He did the largest corporate tax cut in history. No one has pleasured more corporations than Donald J. Trump. So please spare me your outrage about business interests. And then they're like, the money. We spent money thinking we were running against Biden. And now they did a good strategy of switching out Biden and having someone more electable. So we should get our money back. That's absurd. Both parties spend a ton of money on candidates that never wind up being the official nominee. They'll do ads against certain nominees during primaries when you don't have an official nominee at all. That is very common practice. And you don't get to cry about it later. I thought that Bernie was going to be the nominee, but it turned out to be Hillary. I want my money back. That's not how it works. There's no crying in politics. And God, the Trump team, for all that they pretend to be alphas and strong, if you notice, all they ever do is cry, bitch, and complain. Wah, 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 wah. Okay, so now we go to democracy. Brothers, if you complain about the Democrats not holding a real primary, canceling the Florida election, taking people's name off the ballots, not having debates, you would have had a legitimate point. We're fair and honest, we point that out. And I know because I was in those primaries and they were a sham. But you didn't complain about that. Now you're coming around and saying, those are great primaries. I can't believe they're taking democracy away from those poor Democratic voters that voted for Joe Biden. Yeah, you have a real concern for the Democratic voters. And that's what you're heartbroken about? Please. You said that it was against democracy when Joe Biden wasn't dropping out. Now you're saying it's against democracy when Joe Biden is dropping out. Make up your mind. So why do they do this? They do it to neutralize a talking point against them. Donald Trump is the one that did the fake elector scheme, which was a coup against the country. And Donald Trump is the one who said we should suspend the Constitution. Donald Trump is the one that considered martial law. And his side, and it just happened in a debate I had on Piers Morgan this morning, where the right wingers said, we're not a democracy anyway, we're a republic. That's a talking point they often have. But I don't know if you guys remember this, but the original fake news was when Donald Trump's team kept putting out fake articles on Facebook during the 2016 campaign. But what Donald Trump did was he just grabbed that term and used it so much against the mainstream media that people forgot he's the original fake news. And so that's exactly what they're trying to do with all this talk of coup and anti-democratic principles, etc., in regards to the Democrats, when they have no leg to stand on at all. And if it really was some sort of coup against the Democratic voters and against democracy, well, then there would be a rebellion from all those Biden voters in the primary. But I told you all along, and I'm again shown right here, there are no Biden voters. Every Biden voter is going to vote for any Democratic candidate. They're not going to be like, you guys took Biden out? My feelings are so hurt. That's it, I'm not voting, or I'm voting for Trump. Find me one voter that says that. You won't be able to, out of the 14 million that voted for Joe Biden in the primary. They're thrilled to vote for any Democrat, including Kamala Harris. So this is the Republicans pretending they care about Democratic voters that don't even exist, that are so upset that Joe Biden's been taken away. So total, utter nonsense through and through.
Yeah, they are upset because they built their entire campaign and narrative around Biden being weak, Biden being ineffective, and then they just have nothing now. They've got somebody who can finish a sentence and somebody who, like we talked about earlier, highlights the contrasts between them that make Trump look very, very bad. They knew Biden was just going to be a punching bag on the debate stage, which is why immediately after that debate, when he started doing public appearances again, he was calling for another debate immediately. Now you see him, well, I don't want to do the debate on ABC. Maybe we should have it on Fox, trying to make excuses to get out of the debate with Harris. So it is very funny to watch. It's totally disingenuous. But on the coup points, it's a really important factor. They are also making the case that this is a threat to democracy, and that this is proof of a coup. David Sachs, we've talked about him before. He spoke at the RNC, wrote just this morning, Biden's campaign chair said he wasn't leaving the race. Then Biden suddenly posts a resignation letter with no address to the country. Reeks of a coup. One candidate survived assassination, the other staged a coup. Your choice, America. Paul Gosar, the far-right extremist representative, wrote, the coup is complete. Trump and JD Vance also told Jesse Waters Biden dropping out is a coup before he even decided to drop out. And this note, we got to note, this interview was taped on Saturday following the RNC before the news broke that Biden was dropping out. Take a look.
You'd investigate the people that hid Joe Biden's condition?
Well, I think somebody has to look at it. Look, you had people that lied to the American public. And I tell you what, you ought to take a look at his doctors, because his doctors keep giving him this wonderful report. I'm not a doctor, but I saw him the other day, was unable to get up the children's stairs going into Air Force Ones.
Is it a coup against Joe Biden?
It's sort of, yeah.
I think it is. I mean, look, there's a constitutional process, the 25th Amendment. If Joe Biden can't run for president, he can't serve as president. And if they want to take him down because he's mentally incapable of serving, invoke the 25th Amendment. You don't get to sort of do this in the most politically beneficial way for Democrats. If it's an actual problem, they should take care of it in the appropriate way.
And Vance kind of lays the ballgame out there. It is politically beneficial. That seems to be why they're so upset. But what do you make of the coup rhetoric in the 25th conversation, Cenk?
Look, I thought the Democrats should have been using the word coup for the last 4 years. When you do a fake election, so look, we just interviewed Rudy Giuliani at the RNC. And I asked him, why didn't you use Trump's actual electors? Because both sides have slates of electors when you went to go and tried to overturn the results of the election. And he said half of them wouldn't do it. Now, why wouldn't half of Trump's electors do the scheme? Because they thought it was illegal and unconstitutional and in essence a coup. So that's why they had to get the fake electors. So the Democrats are so bad at politics. I'm sorry if that breaks your heart, but it's definitely true. They're so bad at talking points and getting their message out. They should have been calling it a coup from day one. Now the Republicans are doing a thing that's strategically smart, although it lacks all substance. They're preemptively calling what happened to Biden a coup, so that when the Democrats, if they ever come back around to using that word more effectively, will seem like they're copying the Republicans. And then they'll get every Republican on social media going, oh, you guys did a coup against Joe Biden, so it's even. Now, is it an actual coup? No, of course not, that's absurd. So if they did what Vance is suggesting, the 25th Amendment, that's constitutional, it's literally in the Constitution, it's an amendment in the Constitution, but that's closer to a coup, because that's the vice president and your own cabinet removing you from office. When you agree to step down, that is not a coup. Nobody put a gun to his head, etc. In fact, he resisted it for a long time. He could have kept going. He could have said, I don't want the donor money, or I don't need it. I'm gonna run it from the grassroots. And he was raising a decent amount from the grassroots. He could, and Bernie ran a campaign that way. He could have said, hey, listen, Democrats, you do anything you like, I'm in charge. He could have done all that, but instead he agreed and he stepped down voluntarily. That has nothing to do with a coup. And Biden won the election, he's the president, he gets to make those decisions on whether he wants to run for a re-election. A lot of presidents have decided not to run for re-election. On the other hand, Donald Trump lost the 2020 election and said, I don't want to lose. But you did lose, bitch. And then people were like, oh, no, we have mules, we have Krakens. God damn it, let's just get a bunch of fake electors and do a coup. Who cares about democracy? So that's a coup. Not a guy saying, yeah, it looks like I'm gonna lose, so I'll step down. So they lie like this so regularly that every once in a while, when we're honest about the faults of the Democratic Party, people will be like, oh, are you going to the right wing? Are you gonna be MAGA? Are you gonna be pro-Trump? Who can support these whiners that constantly lie? This has nothing to do with a coup, it's absurd.
Yeah, it's totally that this is a political disadvantage for the right, for Trump's campaign. And maybe I'm being too aspirational and hopeful here, but I do think when we have a full post-mortem of this decision, it would be interesting to see when they actually made the decision. I can't imagine he just woke up on Sunday and it's like, that's it. And this 1 minute timeline seems kind of fishy to me. I'm wondering if they knew it was going to happen. It felt untenable over the past couple of weeks when you had this wave building of people calling for him to drop out in his own party, donors withholding money. It didn't seem like it was ever going to be a winnable argument for the Biden team. So I'm wondering if they deliberately held it until after the RNC to undercut that narrative, whatever came out of it. And this was maybe even before the assassination attempt. But if so, masterful job. Who knows? It could be, maybe not, but I would like to see when they actually made that decision.
No, I know. The reporting is clear. So if they had held it after the RNC, I'd give the Democrats enormous credit. I'd say well played, way to screw over the Republicans, good political strategy. But no, NBC, CNN, everyone else reporting Biden made the decision this weekend. He was super angry about it, didn't want to go in that direction. But he was worried about his precious legacy and made the decision late and didn't really check with too many other people. But it was his decision. He did make it here. I wish he was as smart as the Republicans think he was, and that made this great, strike against the Republicans and had them waste their money at the RNC. But no, he was just hanging on for dear life. But at the end, made the right decision and let go of power, which Donald Trump refused to do even after he lost. So that's all the difference in the world. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.